All right, let's discuss about the ITTOs of Perform Integrated Change Control. As usual, first the inputs. The first input is Project Management Plan. In it, Change Management Plan. To perform the change control, obviously, the know-how of how changes to be managed in a project should be known. The change management plan contains the details about how the changes to be managed in a project, the roles and responsibilities of change control board. Configuration management plan. The configuration management plan describes configurable items of the project, the process to carry forward the changes, and how the changes will be recorded and updated. Scope baseline. The scope baseline provides the project and product definition. Schedule baseline. When a change is requested, obviously, they may have impact on project schedule. The schedule baseline is used to assess the impact. Cost baseline. Changes may bring in new cost to the project. The cost baseline is used to assess the impact. Next one is project documents. First, basis of estimates. Whenever there is a change request as a part of change control process, you should calculate the impact of the change in terms of schedule, budget, and resource. The basis of information, the basis of within quotes, will be helpful. Requirements traceability matrix. Any change will have impact on the project scope. The requirement traceability matrix helps to assess the impact of change on the project scope because it has a trace of every requirement to the final product delivery. Risk report. The risk report represents the information on source of overall and individual project risks that are due to the change requested. Work performance reports. Work performance reports contain information about resource availability, schedule and cost data, earn value reports, and burn up or burn down charts, which are some of the key inputs that are required to perform integrated change control. Change requests. All the change requests must be processed through perform integrated change control process. I know, broken record. The next is enterprise environmental factors. Government or industry standards. Example, product standard, quality standards, safety standards, and workmanship standards. Constraints related to contracting and purchasing. Legal and regulatory requirements and or constraints. Legal restrictions such as country or local regularization. Organizational governance framework. It's a structured way to provide control, direction, and coordination through people, policies, and processes to meet organizational strategic and operational goals. The next one is organizational process asserts. Change and risk control procedure. Here we are talking about change control procedure, including the steps by which organizational standard, policies, plans, procedures, or any project document will be modified and how any change will be approved and validated. Configuration management knowledge base containing the versions and baselines of all official organizational standards, policies, procedures, and any project documents. Procedures. Here we are talking about the procedure for approving and issuing change authorizations. All right, now let's move to tools and techniques. The first one is expert judgment. For this process, the experts can be from technical knowledge of industry and focus area of the project, legislation and regulations, legal and procurement, configuration management, and risk management. The next one is change control tools. The change control is focused on identifying, documenting, and approving or rejecting changes to the project document, deliverable, or baselines. The change management tool should be based on the stakeholders and organizations and environmental conditions and constraints. By the way, configuration management is all about tracking the changes. Changes and configuration management are interdependent to each other. So, while identifying the change control tools, it's also very important to focus on the configuration management. The tool should support both change management and configuration management. When it comes to configuration management, the tool should support certain configuration management activities such as identify configuration item. The tool should provide the basis for which the product configuration can be defined and verified. Product and documents are labeled, changes are managed, and accountability is maintained. Record and report configuration item status. Here we are talking about information recording and reporting back about configuration item. Perform a verification and audit of configured item. This is to ensure that the configured items are correct and that corresponding changes are registered, assessed, approved, tracked, and correctly implemented. This ensures that the functional requirements defined in the configuration documents are met. Let's talk about the change management activities that to be supported by the tool. Firstly, identify changes. Identifying and selecting a change item for process documents or project documents. Document changes. Here we are talking about documenting the change into a proper change request. Decision on changes. Here it's about reviewing the changes, approving, rejecting, deferring, or marking any other decision about changes to the project documents, deliverables, or baselines. Track changes. Here it's about verifying that the changes are registered, assessed, approved, and tracked, and communicating final result to the stakeholders. Also, the tool should be able to make the communication easier among the stakeholders about the changes. Alright, the next tools and technique is data analysis. There are two in it. The first one is alternative analysis. Alternative analysis is used to assess the requested change and its impact. This helps to decide whether to accept or reject or modify then accept the requested change. Cost-benefit analysis. This analysis helps to determine if the requested change is worth for its associated cost. The next one is decision making. Here we have 4 in the list. First one, voting. Voting can take the form of unanimity, majority, or plurality to decide on whether to accept, defer, or reject change requests. Autocratic decision making. In this decision making style, one individual takes responsibility for making the final decision on behalf of the entire group. Multi-criteria decision analysis. Multi-criteria decision analysis is a technique that uses a decision matrix to provide a systematic analytical approach to evaluate the requested changes according to a set of predefined criteria. Meetings. Changes are requested by stakeholders. Most changes will have some sort of impact on time, cost, resource, or risks, or any of the project knowledge. So meetings by change control board are held to approve or reject or defer change requests. Assessing the impact of the changes is an essential part of the meeting. Alternatives to the requested changes may be discussed and proposed. Finally, the decision is communicated to the requested owner or group for further actions. Due to this change, there may be changes in overall project. So CCB may also review configuration management activities. Of course, the roles and authorities of change control board is clearly defined and agreed by the appropriate stakeholders, and they are documented in the change management plan. Let's talk about the outputs. We have 3. Approved change requests. All the requested changes must follow the change control process defined in the project management plan. Deferred or rejected change requests should be communicated back to the requester. Approved changes must be implemented in the project. Re-baseline respective documents such as scope baseline, schedule baseline, and cost baseline. The next is project management plan updates. Any formally controlled component of the project management plan may be changed as a result of this process. Just keep in mind, changes to baselines are made only from the last baseline, meaning the past performance is not changed, but only the future I know this is obvious, but still I want to emphasize to be sure about it. This protects the integrity of the baselines and the historical data of past performance. The next is project documents updates. Change log. When a change is requested, it should go through the change control process. Upon the change control process completes, whether the change is approved or deferred or rejected, the status of the change has to be tracked. So, the change log gets updated. That's all we have in Perform Integrated Change Control. Let's move to the next process.